Breaking tonight. North Korea just made a chilling promise that changes everything. The words, final solution, have been spoken, and it's not just diplomatic talk anymore. What Western intelligence agencies feared most is now happening right before our eyes. Kim Jong-un's latest statement isn't just support for Russia. It's a declaration of intent that should make everyone pause and think, what comes next? Let me be crystal clear. This isn't about mere weapons anymore. We're looking at something far more sinister. Intelligence reports suggest up to 100,000 North Korean troops could be preparing to join Russian forces. But that's just the surface. Think about it. Why now? Why would Kim Jong-un suddenly pledge unconditional support for what he calls a final solution in the disputed region? The timing isn't random, and the language isn't accidental. Here's what they're not telling you. Russian forces have lost over 31,000 soldiers in just 2 months. That's not from Western propaganda. That's from internal documents. The system is bleeding, and now they're calling in the most unpredictable player on the global stage. But there's an even darker aspect to this story. While everyone's looking at the front lines, something massive is happening inside Russia itself. The elite around Putin is in panic mode. Ministers are disappearing. High-ranking officials are being arrested in the dead of night. What do they know that we don't? Why is the Kremlin suddenly purging its own people while making deals with North Korea? The answer connects to a series of events that started months ago, and tonight, I'll show you exactly how this puzzle fits together. But first, ask yourself, if they're this desperate for North Korean help, what does that tell us about what's really happening behind the scenes? Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal next explains why Western intelligence agencies are calling this the most dangerous development since February 2022. But what's unfolding behind closed doors is far more alarming. Intelligence reports reveal a massive military cooperation that's reshaping the balance of power. North Korea isn't just making promises, they're delivering on them. The numbers are staggering. Over 12 million artillery shells already supplied to Russian forces, with more in the pipeline. What's even more concerning is the human factor. Fresh intelligence suggests that Pyongyang is preparing to deploy between 25,000 and 30,000 troops as early as next month. This isn't speculation. It's happening. And here's what they're not telling you. The previous North Korean contingent suffered catastrophic losses. Western analysts confirm that of the initial 13,000 fighters, up to half were either killed or severely wounded. But there's a darker undertone to this alliance. Kim Jong-un's recent statement about a final solution sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles. The choice of words, eerily reminiscent of history's darkest chapters, reveals the true nature of this partnership. Meanwhile, the Russian elite is fracturing. High-ranking officials are privately expressing concern about the regime's stability. The recent dismissal of a key minister has sent tremors through the Kremlin's corridors. They're watching their backs, and for good reason. This isn't just about a single conflict anymore. We're witnessing a fundamental restructuring of global alliances. Serbia's recent pivot toward the West is just one example of how Russia's traditional spheres of influence are crumbling. But here's what should really keep you up at night. These developments are just the surface. Behind the scenes, a much larger game is being played. And what we've just uncovered about China's role in all this, well, that's what we'll dive into next. Remember to subscribe. You won't find this level of analysis anywhere else. The world is changing faster than most realize, and you need to stay informed. But first, let me show you something that will make everything we've discussed so far look like child's play. In recent months, we've witnessed significant shifts in Russia's strategic position. The military operation in the conflict zone has faced unexpected challenges, with sobering statistics emerging from reliable sources. According to The Economist, Russian forces sustained approximately 31,000 casualties in just 2 months, a figure that demands serious consideration. The financial implications are equally striking. Government spending on contracted soldiers has surged to 2 trillion rubles within 6 months, an unprecedented amount. Yet, despite this massive investment, new contract signings have declined by 10% compared to the previous period. This presents a complex puzzle for military planners and strategists. These developments help explain Moscow's intensified diplomatic engagement with North Korea. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's recent visit followed two earlier trips by Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, a clear indication of the strategic importance Russia places on this partnership. But perhaps the most concerning developments are occurring within the Kremlin itself. The sudden death of Transportation Minister Roman Starovoid has cast a long shadow over the political elite. High-ranking sources and former government officials have revealed a growing atmosphere of fear among top officials. The elite's panic is palpable, triggered by increasing arrests of their colleagues, extensive property confiscations, and even direct eliminations. Some within Putin's inner circle have drawn parallels between current repressions and Stalin's era, a comparison that speaks volumes about the present political climate. This internal tension coincides with ongoing military challenges in the northern Black Sea region, where Russian forces continue their strategic operations. The situation demands careful analysis of both domestic and international factors affecting Russia's position. The partnership with North Korea could prove crucial in addressing these challenges, potentially providing necessary support for continued operations in the disputed territory between Russia and the West. What do you think about these developments? Share your thoughts on how these internal changes might affect Russia's position on the world stage. In a shocking turn of events within the Russian political sphere, Minister Starovoit's fate has become a significant talking point among Kremlin observers. Breaking with tradition, where dismissed officials typically accept their fate quietly, Starovoit chose a different path, one that some interpret as a final act of defiance against an increasingly restrictive system. The unwritten rules of Russian politics dictate that those who fall from grace should accept their destiny without resistance, usually ending up behind bars like many before them. But Starovoit's decision to choose his own ending has sent ripples through Moscow's corridors of power. His actions demonstrate that even within a system that appears to show no mercy, alternatives still exist. During the funeral proceedings, while President Putin's absence was conspicuous, with not even a ceremonial wreath sent in his name, several ministers made the bold choice to attend and pay their respects. This unprecedented show of solidarity raises questions about potential internal resistance brewing within the highest echelons of power. Meanwhile, significant shifts are occurring in the Balkans. Following intense pressure from Moscow, Serbia appears to be dramatically realigning its geopolitical orientation. President Alexander Vučić has announced his readiness to deepen strategic partnership with the United States, a major departure from Serbia's traditionally pro-Russian stance. This announcement, made via Vučić's Instagram account, followed a crucial meeting with U.S. State Department Representative Brandon Henrihan. Their discussions covered global issues, bilateral relations, and the situation in the Balkans. This diplomatic pivot suggests a weakening of Russia's influence in a region it once considered firmly within its sphere of influence. The developments in Serbia come at a time when Russia faces mounting challenges in maintaining its traditional alliances, while simultaneously dealing with internal tensions and the ongoing military operation in the disputed territory between Russia and the West. What do you think about these officials attending the funeral, despite Putin's absence? Could this be a sign of growing dissent within the system? Share your thoughts. Your perspective matters. Today we're analyzing a significant shift in global alliances that reveals deeper troubles within Russia's sphere of influence. Serbia, long considered Moscow's closest European ally, is now pivoting towards Washington in a move that's sending shockwaves through diplomatic circles. Serbian President Vučić has made a dramatic turn, emphasizing stronger strategic partnerships with the United States in energy, artificial intelligence, and technological development. This isn't just routine diplomacy. It's a fundamental realignment following accusations from Russian intelligence about Belgrade's military support for the former Soviet Republic. What makes this particularly striking is that just months ago, Vučić was seeking a place at Moscow's Victory Day parade. Now, after Russian intelligence services accused Serbia of arms transfers to the disputed territory, Belgrade is strengthening ties with Washington. Meanwhile, a crisis familiar to Russians has resurfaced: wage delays. This time, the problem has emerged in Turkey. Workers at a nuclear power plant construction site employed by Russian state corporation Rosatom and its contractor Titanjet-2, have gone public with complaints about unpaid wages. This combination of diplomatic isolation and economic mismanagement points to deeper systemic issues. Russia appears to be following a playbook of alienating traditional allies while failing to maintain basic obligations to workers, even in strategic international projects. The situation with Serbia is particularly telling. A country that historically stood with Moscow through thick and thin is now seeking alternatives. This represents not just a diplomatic setback, but a fundamental shift in regional power dynamics that could reshape the entire Balkan landscape. These developments suggest Russia's influence is waning not just in contested areas, but even among its most reliable partners. The economic struggles revealed by the Turkish nuclear project workers add another layer to this complex picture of declining Russian effectiveness on the international stage. What do you think about the current situation with Serbia? Could this trigger similar moves by other traditional Russian allies? Leave your point of view in the comments. I want to hear your take. Recent developments at the Turkish nuclear power plant project reveal a concerning pattern of labor issues and financial strain. What started as a promising joint venture has devolved into a crisis. The workforce has plummeted dramatically, from 12,000 to just 3,000 workers, primarily due to unpaid wages stretching back 2 months. The situation reached a boiling point in March when Turkish workers staged a strike demanding fair compensation. Their Russian counterparts, however, found themselves in a more precarious position. Faced with threats of dismissal and cancellation of return tickets to Russia, they chose silence over protest. The management's heavy-handed response became evident when 200 workers from the Mosqueta minority sought legal assistance. All were promptly terminated. This project, launched with great fanfare by Russian and Turkish authorities 2 years ago, has yet to receive a personal visit from Vladimir Putin. While the Kremlin leader confidently predicted completion this year during last autumn's statements, reality tells a different story. The timeline appears increasingly unrealistic, especially given recent developments. February brought another red flag when Rosatom, the Russian state nuclear corporation, proposed sharing construction costs with Turkey. This unusual request stems directly from the mounting financial pressures caused by international sanctions against Russia. These sanctions, implemented in response to Moscow's special operation in the former Soviet Republic, continue to ripple through various sectors of the Russian economy. The construction site now sits in a powder keg of tension. Workers face uncertainty about their wages, job security hangs by a thread, and the project's future remains unclear. This situation mirrors broader challenges in Russian international ventures, where geopolitical pressures increasingly impact operational capabilities. The combination of labor unrest, financial strain, and management's harsh responses points to deeper systematic issues. These problems could potentially derail not just this project, but similar endeavors in the future. What do you think about the current situation with Russian international projects? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm particularly interested in your views on how these issues might affect future cooperation between Russia and Turkey. In a surprising turn of events that's causing ripples across Eastern Europe, Romania's Prime Minister Ilie Balachan has shown what true leadership might look like. A video that's gone viral shows something almost unthinkable in modern politics: the head of government picking up plastic bottles and paper from the floor after his party's Congress. But here's what's even more remarkable. His party colleagues didn't just stand by and watch. They joined in, arranging chairs and restoring order to the venue before departing. This isn't just about cleaning up, it's about a fundamental shift in political behavior that's causing shockwaves across Eastern Europe. Meanwhile, in Russia, we're seeing a stark contrast with recent developments. While some post-Soviet leaders try to maintain an image of humility through carefully crafted interviews and personal stories, their actions tell a different tale. These same figures spare no expense on security details, personal drivers, and other luxuries that separate them from ordinary citizens. This brings us to a crucial point about leadership styles in our changing world. While some leaders are genuinely rolling up their sleeves and doing manual work, others merely perform humility for the cameras while maintaining their distance from regular people behind layers of security and privilege. The Romanian example raises important questions about what we expect from our leaders. Is this genuine humility or a calculated political move? Should we applaud such gestures, or should we be concerned that we're so surprised by basic displays of civic responsibility from our political class? In the context of current geopolitical tensions, especially considering the situation with our Western neighbor, these contrasting leadership styles become even more significant. They reflect deeper differences in how various societies view power, responsibility, and the relationship between leaders and citizens. What do you think about this situation? Would you want to see our leaders picking up trash after public events? Or do you believe they should maintain a more traditional image of authority? Share your thoughts in the comments below. In today's analysis, we're taking a fascinating look at social trends in Belarus, a key ally of Russia, where recent marriage statistics tell an intriguing story about society under long-term leadership. Let me share some remarkable findings that might surprise you. Picture this. An 84-year-old groom and his 87-year-old bride recently tied the knot, proving that romance knows no age limits. This heartwarming story stands in stark contrast to another notable union, a 16-year-old boy marrying a 15-year-old girl. These extremes paint a fascinating picture of a society where traditional values meet modern realities. The average marriage age in Belarus holds steady at 33 for men and 31 for women, reflecting a mature approach to family formation. However, the capital city Minsk recorded only 4,460 new families in the first half of 2025, continuing a troubling downward trend in marriage rates across the country. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Could this declining interest in marriage be connected to the political landscape? Belarus has been under the same leadership for 31 years, a president who's never been seen publicly with a wife, though he's known to have children with different women. This peculiar personal dynamic at the top might be influencing societal attitudes toward marriage. This pattern mirrors similar trends we're seeing across the former Soviet space, where traditional institutions face modern challenges. The situation in Belarus offers a unique window into how political stability, or stagnation, might affect personal choices and social structures. Remember, these trends don't exist in isolation. They're part of broader changes sweeping through Eastern Europe and the Eurasian region, affecting everything from demographics to geopolitical alignments. What do you think about this marriage trend in Belarus? Could political leadership really influence personal decisions like marriage? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm particularly interested in hearing your perspective on how leadership styles affect social institutions.